with doubt, do you think, is Mark Carney about what he's doing, about the growth going forward?
Well, I think the Bank of England is facing a great challenge at the moment of negotiating this period between the end of quantitative easing and the beginning of a future rate tightening. The forward guidance that the new bank governor introduced in his maiden inflation report in August has so far backfired. Problem with the bank is that, first of all, that the markets are questioning the fundamental rationale behind the bank's forward guidance.
I mean, was he wrong to make the forward guidance call, do you think?
Well, I think that for so far, because of the novelty of the forward guidance, the focus has been probably a little bit too much on the form, the framework, rather than the content. I think what the governor has got to do, and of course what he has been trying to do, is try to steer the message towards the fact that the bank will not be in a hurry to raise interest rates for as long as the level of spare capacity in the economy is so wide. Problem, however, with that is that the conditional interim signal, epitomized by the unemployment rate, a threshold 7%, introduced by the Bank of England to, if you like, disentangle the market's focus on the improving growth figures from the expectation of tightening interest rates, has probably confused the markets, partly because unemployment is artificially lifted by part-time jobs, and at the same time, of course, the inflation rate has remained very high. So, right while the Bank of England is trying to send the message that we're going to be in a forward rate, a steady forward rate environment, the reality has been a volatility, but importantly, this has not been a volatility specific to the UK. We've seen similar stuff in the US in the Eurozone money markets.
Well, I mean, what is your thoughts on growth now in Q3? I mean, they're saying 1%, OECD saying 1.5% for the full year. What do you say?
Well, the OECD revision was really quite startling because they virtually doubled their forecast for this year, 1.5% from 0.8% previously. That's a huge revision for a time when there's relative clarity. I think that clearly in the short term, growth is going to remain stronger. Looking ahead, however, beyond the next 2 quarters, I think we have to start pricing in the uncertainty introduced by the feedback mechanisms of volatile money markets, volatile global capital markets as the Fed moves towards tapering, and of course the impact that developments in the Eurozone, particularly the move towards a sort of a structured institutionalized recapitalization of the banking system, which has got to happen from January of 2014, the impact that that will have on the UK capital markets as well.
Where do you think bank rate will be at the end of next year, beginning of 2015?
Oh, actually, I don't expect the bank will be able to raise interest rates for a while yet. I think that we're looking at 0.5% for a while longer. There are 2 reasons for that. The first one is that the Bank of England's balance sheet size is just really high. The bank will have to allow some drawdown, if you like, of bank reserves in order to be able to regain. A good example is the spread that we have between the overnight market rate, the SONIA rate, and the bank's target rate. And the SONIA rate has been fairly volatile around bank rates. So before the bank can start maneuvering short-term interest rates as it has traditionally done before QE, I think we need to see a stronger control over the balance sheet. But the more important thing, I think, Axel, here is the policy reaction function to the real economy. The markets expect, perhaps prematurely, the bank will be responding to stronger growth figures. The bank has told us that it will in fact respond to the level of spare capacity and the inflationary momentum from unemployment here. And I think that clearly, given that historically there hasn't been a strong relationship between 7% employment rate and the UK CPI, I think that the bank will probably hold back for longer than the markets currently expect.